In December, I was living by myself for the first time in my life, and I realized something. My social needs were not being met. And I was like, damn, if I don't meet some people, I'm gonna struggle. And that was where I had a realization. We evolved to live in tribes. Throughout most of human history, the 200,000 years of human history, we've always lived in tribes. We would have known everyone's name. Everyone would have known our intimate history. We would have known their intimate history. Our social needs were taken care of. And the facts are, we're not born with the toolkit on how to survive socially when we live by ourselves. And that single fact explains why modern dating feels so hard for so many men. And actually, the irony is, the more successful you are as a man financially, the increased likelihood you live by yourself, and the more chance that you live by yourself, the increased likelihood that you're actually going to find dating harder because you live with a degree of social isolation in your day-to-day basis. So in this video, I'm going to share not only how I 5x my dating results, but I'm also going to share how you can do the same. First of all, just before I do that, what men often do is they'll look online and they'll try and find out about dating, and they'll read articles like these 3 hacks to get her to come out with you, or how to approach women so that she instantly falls for you. And the thing is, all of this misses the point because it doesn't actually fix the core root of the problem: feeling socially awkward. So in this video, we're gonna go after that very topic. In December, I had a realization, and it is this. By the time I start work, I go into a logical mindset. I'm looking at spreadsheets, I'm working out how to do things for my dating website, I'm planning the structure of my business, I'm thinking long term. I'm going strong into that logical mind before I start work. And what I'm not doing is I'm not in that effortless flow state. What I realized is I would go out to try and talk to women in the evening. I would feel stiff. Why? Because I've been working on my business all day. I've been in that man mind. I've been in that logical space. And I realized the early bird catches the worm. You need to approach a woman before you've even started your day. So that's exactly what I did, and I call this the morning method. So every morning before I started work, I would go out, I would run an errand, I would maybe go to buy something from the shop, I would go for a morning walk just to stretch my legs. And on that walk, I would always see at least one attractive girl, and I would go over to her and I would start talking to her. This was amazing because I got one step ahead of my logical brain. Before you've even started your work, get yourself out in the morning and go and talk to at least one person. Absolute game changer. Guess what? When you do this, you're in a social mood for the rest of the day. Everything just feels a little bit more lightweight. Fellas, are you tired of getting that girl's number only for her not to reply? I know the pain is very, very frustrating. Well, luckily for you, I got just the thing. This is the opening message that I personally send. I get 72.4% reply rate. I know because I tested it over 100 approaches in the month of December last year. If you want access to that, just go to timothyrobinson.me, or you can click the link down below this video and I will send that straight to your inbox. Back to the video. All right, the second thing I started doing in December, and I'd never done it before, was I started tracking my approaches. So every time I would approach a girl, I put it on a spreadsheet. And not only that, I would track how nervous I felt before the approach. I would rate it from 1 to 10. So 10 would be like, I feel extremely nervous. 1 would be, I feel completely socially free. And I would also track whether I made eye contact with that girl first or whether she hadn't even seen me, because this was a really good way to rate my own courage. You can probably see that I'm quite kind of animated, and I've learned that. I've learned through the years as a kind of communication style too. I mean, I'm extroverted by nature, but when I'm talking to girls, I know how to attract their attention a little bit. And when they look at me, I call that an indicator of interest, or an IOI. And it got to the point where I'd started to rely on IOIs quite a lot. And in winter, you don't get IOIs because everyone's looking down. It's a lot of time it's snowing, so there's no even, they're focusing on where they're walking more than anything. I realized that there's a distinction between when I approach a girl off an IOI, off an indicator of interest, she's giving me some pre-approval. Or if I approach a girl that is a true cold approach, she's giving me no external signal that she wants to talk. And I was tracking those as well. So I tracked whether the approach was off an IOI, whether it was a true cold approach, and I also recorded how physically ready I felt for that. And of course, whether I got the girl's contact, whether we arranged a date, all of that was tracked. And just to add this into the video, the reason it was powerful, tracking my approaches, was because it allowed me to rate how ready I was to approach, how ready I wasn't. And I was able to manipulate certain variables in my day. Hence, I realized that if I approached a girl first thing in the morning, it made all the rest of the approaches easier. And I was able to see that because I did more approaches on the days that I did the morning approaches. Right, here's a third thing, and this is something guys never talk about, and I hate this conversation because men always say, oh, men, you got to talk to each other. Mental health. For me, I need at least one conversation a day with someone that I like, whether that is a friend, whether it's a family member. You know what, it can even be a person at the gym sometimes. You're just chatting to a bro at the gym. But the point is, I will make a point of having at least one good conversation every day. I call it MSA, the minimum amount of social activity that you need to be okay. You know that feeling where you feel socially awkward? A lot of times we think that's anxiety towards women when it's social awkwardness. I don't know if you ever tried approaching women when you've just come out of a party or a really productive meeting. It's 10 times easier because you're already in a social state. Your minimum social activity that you need each day. This was the third thing. And once I locked it down, I would make sure I got at least one phone call with a mate in, or whether I go to a social event, and I do that every day. I'd schedule that in. You've got to get a certain amount of social activity in you so that you take care of your social needs, so that you can actually function well when you're talking to women. If you're a guy that gets stuck in his head, I strongly recommend you find a way to interact with the world before you start work. And if you can do an approach, if you can approach one girl, fantastic. That gets you out of your logical mind. The more socially awkward, the more of a fear state you're in when it comes to socializing, the less easily you're actually going to be able to integrate tactics, i.e. say these 3 things to make her attracted to you. Because when you're in a fear state, your brain just defaults to track your approaches. You might think it's a little bit weird, but just embrace the fact that you are a man, you are a logical being. Tracking your approaches will help you see your progress visually, which will make you more inspired to take action. The more action you take, the more women you speak to, the more socially smooth you are going to be. And lastly, just make sure you're taking care of your social needs as well. Getting a phone call in with your friend, you can't just wait for someone to come and save you. You have to take that action yourself. Go to social events, go to networking events. We're so harsh to ourselves because we feel shy or we feel socially awkward. You're supposed to feel shy. You're supposed to feel socially awkward when you go out and meet new people. Otherwise, let's say an invader from your tribe came in 100,000 years ago and you were all friendly to them. Oh, hey dude, that's a nice horse. Oh, where did you get your sword? He would kill you straight away, potentially. So it pays for us from an evolutionary basis to be shy, to be awkward, to begin. There's nothing wrong with that. Do not interpret feelings of awkwardness and shyness as a bad thing. They are there to protect you, but the one way you can get ahead of that, again, I go through it in my course, the morning method, is by approaching before you start your workday. This is so key. All right, fellas, if you want to work with me, if you want me to coach you personally to become the most shaggable, lovable version of yourself, if you want to have an ethical player phase, or maybe you want a long-term relationship, but the reality is that your dating skills, your meeting women skills are not quite in line with every other part of your life. You've achieved success financially, you've achieved success in every area of life, but this is the one piece still remaining. So if you want to take this to the next level, you can shoot me an email at timothy@timothyrobinson.me. You can click the link above to apply to work with me. And I've got some links below as well. So there's links everywhere all around this video. So no choice to miss. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.